Hey everybody, so I haven't done an unboxing in a while. Part of the reason for that is because I've been testing so many phones from the same companies, like for example Realme or Oppo or Huawei, that I kind of know what to expect from the unboxing experience now. But Lenovo, they're a brand that I haven't had much contact with. This is one of my first or second Lenovo devices I'm reviewing, so I figured I might as well do an unboxing to see how the packaging is. And the reason I'm doing an unboxing at this different spot today is because I am actually watching basketball. It's the NBA playoffs, man, so it's my favorite time of the year. But I'm gonna unbox this phone while watching the playoffs. So apologies in advance, I might be a little bit distracted. So unfortunately, the version I have is the 6 gigs RAM version, not the 12 gig RAM version that personally I think 12 gig RAM is a little bit of an overkill, but I would have loved to test it just to see, just how much Lenovo actually puts the RAM to use. So when I got this phone at first, I thought the box was very dusty and dirty. I tried to wipe it off a little bit just before I realized that this is actually part of the design. Yeah, so this is definitely a more elaborate packaging compared to, like, say, the Vivo mid-tier devices that I've been testing lately. Designed by Lenovo. So you see you have a SIM ejector tool right here. Instructions and warranties. You have an extra screen protector and a soft jelly case. I'm going to put the phone to the side first. So we have here a charging brick. This is the US China version. Oh, it's nice. I like how clean this looks. Oh, it's a USB-C charging brick. Yeah, that's why it looks so different. Nice. And you have a USB-C to USB-C port. Nice. Oh, this is a very premium feeling phone. It's quite hefty. Oh, I like this. So this is a gradient color back again, but I like that the edge is kind of vertically aligned with the camera module. It's a nice touch. Okay, so there is no screen protector pre-installed, but there is one with a box that you have to apply yourself. So see right here, it says hyper video 48 megapixel AI quad camera. So you have a small notch right here and an earpiece, USB-C port, speaker grill or mic, SIM tray. This is nice. Okay, I'm gonna set up the phone. I'll be back. Alright guys, I'm back with the Lenovo Z6 Pro. So I've been using this phone for the past 10 hours now. So that's like more than an entire workday. And there's a lot to like with this phone, but also I'm gonna have a lot of nitpicks and a lot of complaints, especially about this absolutely ridiculous gimmick ass video camera. I'll get into that later, but first let's talk about all the stuff I like about this phone. This is a Snapdragon 855 phone that starts at $430 US. The base model I have here is 6 gigs RAM, 120 gigs internal storage, starts at $430, and then you can go all the way up to 12 gig RAM with 512 storage, and that only runs you about $744. But there's a couple of options in between too. You can get like an 8 gig RAM version with 128 gig storage for $447. But this model should be enough for most people. $430, Snapdragon 855. This is particularly funny today because Google just announced the Google Pixel 3a, which is a budget mid-tier device with a Snapdragon 670 chipset inside that Google is selling for $400. And the funny thing is, we have US reviewers saying that phone is a good deal. I mean, I guess it's a good deal if you live in America and you don't have any other options, but if you live in Asia or if you live in Europe, you have a hell lot of better options, including the Xiaomi Mi 9 or this phone, the Lenovo Z6 Pro, or the Meizu 16S. All three phones will give you Snapdragon 855, which is a hell lot better than 670 for only $20 to $40 more. I mean, 440 bucks you get Snapdragon 855. And you know, this is a really nice design. This is a premium glass finish. I'll talk about the cameras later. And then you have a 6.4 inch OLED display with a resolution of 1080 by 2340. So as you can see, this display is almost edge to edge. There's a little bit of a chin here, but the notch is small enough. It's a nice looking design, but it's absolutely not original because we've seen this design like 100,000 times already in the Huawei P30 Pro, in the Samsung Galaxy A70, in the Redmi Note 7, and like 25 other phones I've tested in the past half a year. So this is definitely not an original design, but I guess as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this is an OLED panel. Colors are very vibrant, and outdoor brightness is pretty good too. And there's an in-display fingerprint reader here. That's an optical scanner that works very well, very fast, very accurate. That's because the people behind this scanner, it's the Shenzhen company Goodix, Goodix. They are responsible for the scanner in the Huawei P30 Pro, in the Meizu 16S, and the Oppo Reno. And all three of those fingerprint sensors are absolutely awesome. And this one, it's no different. It's basically like 99.9% accuracy every single time. And there's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery inside, which is awesome, and it will definitely power the phone all day. Like as you can see right now, I still have 18% battery life, and that's after 10 hours of heavy testing. And I did not start out with 100%. When I unboxed the phone, the battery was already at like 70%. And the rest of the specs you can see here. There's a 32 megapixel selfie camera right here, and around the back you have a quad camera setup, which technically you can say it's a 5 camera setup actually, but kudos to Lenovo for not trying to upsell you. So up top you have a 48 megapixel sensor sourced from Samsung, so this is not the Sony IMX sensor. And then right here you have a 16 megapixel wide angle lens. Here it's a 8 megapixel telephoto lens, and then right here, this is the camera I'm gonna trash later. This is a 2 megapixel video camera. Supposedly this camera will help you shoot better videos, but I've tested the phone all day and that's bullshit. The videos come out just like any other mid-tier phone. I don't know what the hell this does. But then like I mentioned, there's also a fifth camera right here. This is a TOF sensor, a time of flight sensor. Now, plenty of other phones, including the Huawei P30 Pro, claims the TOF sensor as its own separate camera. So if you go by that logic, you can say this is a fifth camera. And this allows you to take bokeh images, and this phone can actually take really good bokeh images with good depth of field, as you can see here. So far, this camera's legit, this camera's legit, this camera's real too. So far, these three cameras are legit, and this is the real deal too, but this is bullshit. Okay, so before I talk about the cameras, I want to talk about the software really quick. So this phone runs on Android 9 with ZUI software on top, and I believe it's been updated already. This is ZUI version 11.0.457ST. And for the most part, I don't love this Android skin, but I don't hate it. As you can see, the aesthetic, it's okay. The app icons are not too outdated. They kind of remind me of Xiaomi's MIUI app icons. And I also really like that you can bring down notification shade by swiping anywhere on the screen. I really dislike phones that make me reach all the way to the top to do this action. Just let me bring it down anywhere. And ZUI also offers a bunch of shortcuts, such as double tap on the screen to turn it on. This is one of my favorites. And a bunch of gimmicky shortcuts too, such as chop the phone twice to turn on the flashlight. This is a kind of silly action that I feel like if you're doing this in the dark, you might accidentally drop the phone. And also this. So if you twist the phone twice, it will immediately jump into the camera. Now again, I feel like this is something that might accidentally trigger. Like if it's in my pocket and I'm running around, or if I'm holding the phone and I'm walking kind of fast, I feel like I would accidentally turn on the camera when I'm not trying to. Now the good news is you can turn these features off if you want, but I'm just showing you guys here some of these kind of additional shortcut gestures that you might like. Now one thing I don't like about the ZUI software is the navigation system. So you can choose to use swipe or traditional 3 buttons. So I've chosen swipe because I just want my screen to be clean. but I really don't like it because it really behaves differently from other Android phones. Now on just about any other Android phone or even an iPhone, you go home by swiping up. That's a universal action by this point. But on the Lenovo devices, when you swipe up, you only go back. So how do you go home? You have to swipe up and hold. Now this doesn't sound like that big a deal, and I guess if I use the Lenovo phone full time as my daily driver and it's my only phone, I'll get used to it. But for someone who switches between phones a lot, I have not been able to get used to this. I just keep swiping up thinking I'm going home, and then I'm actually just going back one step. So to go home, I have to swipe and hold. And it's just an awkward motion for me to do, because on any other phone, when you swipe and hold, you bring up app overview. Now instead, to bring up app overview, you swipe from the sides. You have to swipe from the sides and kind of from the bottom. So if you swipe from up top, it doesn't do anything. But when you swipe from the sides and bottom, then you go into app overview. So this is completely contradictory to how Google or Apple do swiping navigations. And it's just something that I guess you'll have to get used to. But for me, I don't like it. And to make matters worse, if I don't want to use swipe, if I go back to, say, traditional touch keys, which is fine, but at the same time, you cannot hide this row of keys. So no matter what, if I'm in Chrome, the buttons are always on display. If I'm on Instagram, the buttons are always showing. When I'm watching TikTok, which is a full screen app, same thing. The buttons are, oh, damn girl. But on TikTok, which is a full screen app, the buttons are always there. So I don't want to use buttons too, because it's wasting screen space. I feel like in 2019, every phone should use swipe navigation, because button navigation is so outdated. Now you see, now I get full screen action on the TikTok app. Now other things about the software, there is no app tray, so all your apps have to go on the screen. And when you first get the phone, there's a hell lot of bloat, because this is a Chinese ROM. But the good news is all the bloat, you can delete them quite easily. And I was able to install Google very easily too. So Lenovo has an app store, so all you have to do is go in there and download Chrome, and it'll automatically install Google frameworks. And after that, just go into apkmirror.com and download the Google Play Store. So far, all my Google apps have been running without any issues. Now in terms of performance, this phone has a Snapdragon 855 chipset in there, so there's really not much to talk about. It can handle any game fine, and I've opened up to like a dozen apps, and I have not experienced any slowdowns despite only 6 gigs of RAM. So everything has been optimized quite well. I have not encountered any bugs or stutters yet in 10 hours of heavy use. Now let's go into the camera app before we move on to the actual camera analysis. So the camera app at first glance looks pretty clean. It's a very minimal camera app. You have to tap on this icon to bring up these extra shooting modes, such as the wide angle lens and panorama, all that. But as you can see right now, when you tap on this sub menu only stays open for like 2 seconds. And after that, it automatically goes away. That is really freaking annoying, because sometimes, you know, if you're new to the phone especially, or you're someone who don't know your camera modes that well, you might need more than 2 seconds to pick your mode. So you tap into this and you all see, let's see which one I want to use. And by the time you're ready to pick, this menu closes on me. But once you are able to pick the menus, at least you can switch modes relatively easily. So the wide angle lens works as advertised. The field of vision, it's about 110 degrees. You see there's a little bit of slight barrel distortion around the corners, but otherwise it works as advertised. Likewise with the macro lens. So this macro lens uses the telephoto lens to capture the macro shot, and the results are really impressive. Look at how close I can get up close to the flower. Like, this is a really nice macro image. So the option to shoot a wide angle lens, which has a wide field of vision, and a macro lens, which allows you to get up close, it's a really cool range of focal lengths in one camera system. And of course you have a pro mode, which is a manual camera mode, and you know, all the expected features are here. You can change manual focus, ISO, shutter speed, white balance, all that. So now we look at some photo samples. So for the most part, images will come out pretty sharp, but they're not 48 megapixel photos. So these are 12 megapixel shots, and even if you turn on the 48 megapixel mode, all you're getting is interpolated 48 megapixels. So it's a fake 48 megapixel photos, but it doesn't matter. 12 megapixel shot, it's very clean, it's very sharp, shutter speed is fast. And then you go to the wide angle lens, you notice that there's a little bit of difference in color balance and color signs between the main sensor and the wide angle sensor. This is something that older LG phones suffers from too, and it's not ideal. But for the most part, the wide angle lens is still pretty good, although now details in the middle, it's very soft, and you get a little bit of barrel distortion in the corner. Actually, this barrel distortion is quite significant. But overall, this camera can produce a really well balanced and really accurately colored shot. Like, this is a really nice shot again. You know, everything's on point. The dynamic range is good. The sky's not blown out. Everything is well detailed. And then this is a wide angle shot, and again, I just like the extra field of vision that you get whenever you go into a wide angle shot. This is just a really versatile camera system that allows you to take macro shots, a wide angle shot, and then a one-time normal shot but with bokeh effect. And as I mentioned, the edge detection in the bokeh shots are quite nice. Like here, everything looks on point. The depth of field, it's very natural. See, even a more challenging subject, like right here, my camera with an external monitor. The edge detection is mostly on point other than this handle right here. This is where it went wrong. But other than that, pretty clean shot. It's a pretty aesthetically pleasing image. Now, selfie, same thing. 32 megapixel selfie camera works as advertised, and you can take bokeh selfies that are completely software driven, and they're okay. So you see right here, the edge detection against around my hair, it's a little bit off, but at least my face looks good. Now I don't mean my face looks good, okay? I meant the camera produced a good photo of my face. It's not overly fake like how some Samsung or Huawei selfies would turn out. You know, my facial hair looks pretty on point. It doesn't look soft and mushy like on the Meizu 16S. This is a really good selfie, and you see my V edge detection around my fingers are good. The depth of field bokeh effect in the back looks quite natural. This is completely software driven, and it looks pretty nice. So good job, Lenovo. So now let's talk about video recording. Now this phone has a dedicated video camera, which they made such a brouhaha about. So you would think the video capabilities is awesome on this, right? Well, not quite. You can shoot 4K video, but only 30 frames per second. You can shoot 1080p, but also cap that 30 frames per second. So you can't even shoot 60 FPS at 1080p on this phone. I don't know why. And stabilization, it's non-existent. Considering this is a Snapdragon 855, I would expect better EIS. I mean, look at how jerky this is. If you remember when I reviewed the Meizu 16S like a week ago, that phone has much better stabilization than this. So why is there a dedicated video camera if the video quality turns out to be pretty crap? I mean, look at this. This is jerky and jittery as hell. At least the dynamic range is decent and colors are good. But I mean, look how jerky this is. So what the hell is the point of this video camera, Lenovo? Please, if you're watching this, Lenovo, please email me and tell me what the hell this is for. Now, of course, this being a Chinese phone, there is no shortage of a beautification mode. As you can see here, there's a mode here called Dream Body or Dreamy Body. And it is weird as hell, man. So basically what it does is it will slim your waistline, your belly. I mean, check out my stomach right here. You see? This video actively applies a filter to shrink my stomach, to make my gut look smaller and make my waist look a little bit thinner. So this is called Dreamy Body Mode, and you can access this in the selfie video camera. Now, apologies for blasting my fat belly at you like this. I apologize if I made you lose your appetite, but I just wanted to show you this mode in action. This is pretty crazy, and I guess some ladies might like it, and maybe some dude will like it too, but it's not for me. And I think it's really ridiculous and really hilarious that this phone allows me to shoot videos of myself with my kind of fat belly a little bit slimmer. So that's about it for this first look at the Lenovo Z6 Pro. There's a lot to like with this phone. You get a Snapdragon 855 chipset with pretty smooth performance, an Android skin that's not terrible, and a really decent main and wide angle camera and a TOF camera too. All that for 430 bucks. Now I wish this stupid video camera would actually be useful instead of just taking up space. But other than that, you know, not much to complain about. You even have a headphone jack in this thing too. So a lot to like with this phone. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.